Prince Henry was born in Greenwich Palace, London, on the 28th of June, 1491. His father was King Henry VII, and his mother was Elizabeth of York, uniting the houses of Lancaster and York after the Wars of the Roses. Prince Henry was the third child of 6, and the second son. Only 3 of their children survived infancy. Of all of Henry's marriages, only 3 produced children. His first marriage was to Catherine of Aragon, who was mother to Mary. Anne Boleyn was mother to Elizabeth, and Jane Seymour gave him his heir, Edward. Henry would have been educated to the highest standard. His maternal grandmother took a particular interest in her grandson's education and religious upbringing. Apart from lessons in grammar, history, languages, logic, philosophy, literature and music, Prince Henry was also educated in astronomy, navigation and cartography, which led to his interest and subsequent increase in his own naval fleet from 5 to over 50 ships during his reign, the most famous being the Mary Rose. He also took tremendous enjoyment in the sporting aspect of his education. It should be remembered that Prince Henry was the second son, and as such, had none of the heir apparent responsibilities or duties that his brother was raised to shoulder. At most, Prince Henry's future was destined to follow a secular path. After the unexpected death of his older brother, Arthur, at the age of 15, Henry is proclaimed king. He obtains a papal dispensation, and marries his brother's widow, Catherine of Aragon, at the age of 18. They had one child, Mary. In 1526, Henry became obsessed with Anne Boleyn. Henry applies to the Pope for his consent to divorce Catherine of Aragon. This is not forthcoming. By 1532, Anne becomes pregnant, and in 1533, Henry is excommunicated by the Pope for marrying Anne Boleyn. She gives birth to Elizabeth in September that year. In 1534, Henry breaks with the Church in Rome, and Parliament passes the Act of Supremacy, confirming King Henry VIII as the supreme head of the Church of England. In 1536, Anne Boleyn is executed for treason, and within hours of Anne's execution, Henry is betrothed to Jane Seymour, who in 1537, dies after prematurely giving birth to the future king, Edward VI. In 1540, Henry marries Anne of Cleves, but later has the marriage annulled. In that same year, he marries Catherine Howard, but in 1542, she is executed for adultery. Henry then marries his 6th and final bride, Catherine Parr, in 1543. King Henry VIII died on the 28th of January, 1547, at the age of 56. King Henry VIII had various injuries and illnesses during his lifetime. It has been suggested his death was ultimately caused by contracting syphilis, but that is largely unsubstantiated.